secondary stepping up in this game. Xavier McKinney with an INT, also scooped up a fumble, a pass break up there at the end of the game by these Packer DBs as they get their first win of the season, led by Jordan Love. Those other two obviously in his absence. But Green Bay stating their intentions clearly here in a jam-packed NFC North. Joe Musso back in the mix alongside Bryant McFadden. This was another game that probably was closer at the end than it needed to be because of some decisions late in that second half. But Green Bay, you go on the road, you pull off a win, led by your starting quarterback finally as well. This has to be a good feeling. Long flight back. How do you process what you saw out of Green Bay in this game?
Nice win for Green Bay. I think first and foremost, let's address their defense because we saw a better performance from their defense compared to what they did not do last week against Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings. They only gave up, 12 points because remember, the Rams scored on an interception forced by their defense. So collectively, defensively for the Green Bay Packers, they put forth a really, really good effort, not to mention being able to get their team to that victory plateau, getting off the field on that fourth down situation against a very, very experienced-led team with a quarterback in Matthew Stafford, coached the right way under Sean McVay. And then eventually in the second half, we saw more efficiency from Jordan Love. Kraft, the tight end, showed up big time. You know, not having Romeo Doubs, someone else needed to step up as a pass catcher. That was great, getting some sound tight end production from them as well. And now you're starting to see Jordan Love. You know, last week, got off to a rocky start. This game, he kind of got off to a slow start as well. But his rhythm surfaced in the second half. He missed some time, wasn't really getting a lot of reps practice-wise also. Now you're starting to see him kind of come into his own for them at the quarterback position, and that's why they gave him the deal they gave him, contractually speaking. So if he can put together 4 quarters of ball, no question this offense will be very, very difficult to stop. And Josh Jacobs finally got his first rushing touchdown as a member of the Green Bay Packers.
I know that's a shout-out to the fantasy team right there.
Facts.
Mac always keeping an eye on a couple things at once. I know you're always keeping an eye on high-level defensive back play, and that's what we're getting out of Xavier McKinney. 5 interceptions here in his first 5 weeks as a Green Bay Packer. When the margin of victory is oftentimes as thin as it is in the NFL, to create those extra possessions, what's he doing for his team right now?
Being the best playmaker they need him to be. He had another interception, but we can't forget about his fumble recovery as well. He had 2 turnovers today. And when you give a guy like McKinney the money he received, no question you're looking for him to come in and provide leadership on and off the football field, but also make plays. He has exceeded the expectations, and he's just getting going. You know, when you talk about being a part of a new system, a new scheme, usually it takes a player 7 or 8 ball games to fully be acclimated to what they need you to do. He is already set in stone and super comfortable within this scheme, and he's just flowing to the football. And one thing I know, guys that I played with, most importantly, Troy Polamalu, where Wilson always seemed to find him. And Wilson is a football, by the way, for you guys that might not know. Wilson. Turnovers,
him and the Duke were on first-name basis.
Yeah. Him and the Duke, Wilson, best friends. One thing he used to say all the time is that turnovers are contagious. When you get that one, the ball always finds you. The Wilson will find you, and you need Wilson to become your best friend, because if Wilson becomes your best friend, anywhere Wilson goes, he is bringing you like you would bring your best friend. So that's what we're seeing with McKinney. He will find Wilson, or Wilson will find him, and the Green Bay Packers and their fan base, they're loving this new relationship they have intact.
It certainly feels like it is a budding relationship there. No doubt about it as they get it done on the offensive side of the football. Complimentary there with the defense and the takeaways as well, Mac. Quickly here, a thought on the division, because the NFC North, as was outlined on the broadcast and as has been outlined week by week in what we've seen, is going to be one of the hardest fought divisions. Who do you give the advantage through 5 weeks in your eyes?
Right now, give the advantage to the undefeated team, the Minnesota Vikings. But, you know, Tony talked about, you know, teams like Green Bay, who we watched today, and you can't forget about Detroit, and what about Chicago? This is the most competitive division in football as we see it through 5 weeks, and I don't see it changing anytime soon.
All right, taking a look at some numbers coming out of this one, is it will be hard fought. How about most interceptions in first 5 games of the new team? No quicker way to ingratiate your way to your new friends.
No question.
Take the ball away and hand it to your quarterback.
It's safe to say you won't pay for a meal anytime soon in Green Bay.
And dollar goes a long way, and I'm schwabbing on. 5 INTs for McKinney through 5 weeks. All right, let's take you back out to L.A. where the great Tony Romo is standing by with his thoughts on another exciting matchup. Tony, We know it's going to be 3D chess when these two head coaches go up at it, but it's now 5 one way, none on the other. What did you see schematically, even before we snapped the football in this one, that maybe did give Green Bay an advantage?
Well, I think the big key was the 2 turnovers in the second half. I mean, the defense did an outstanding job for Green Bay, and like you guys talked about McKinney, Wilson came to him today in that second half, and that's a football for everybody. We call it the Wilson football. But I do think that they just have a really unique gift at coming out in the second half and changing a few things to overload a defense or put them in a position that's very uncomfortable. And so I think teams are going to have to figure out when the Packers come out after halftime, they're coming out with a little bit of a new scheme. And so you might have to figure out a way to change up what you did in the first half, because they've taken advantage of that now for years. And today, I mean, it's just the ball. It just mattered. And that's why the Rams won the first half, because of the ball and the pick six. And then Green Bay wins the second half because of it. And that really is the difference. And give Jordan Love credit for mentally staying in it and coming back and just calming everything down and taking advantage of his opportunities.
Tony, myself, much like you, we're never far from a thought or a swing on a golf course. And I don't know if you remember last year, there was the conversation of whether a player is an artist or a mechanic. It feels like these two quarterbacks are certainly in the artist vein. Can you draw through lines from a young quarterback to a veteran that you saw on the same field today?
I'm impressed with Jordan Love's ability to calm the game down, and he looks very calm back in the pocket. And, you know, the Rams actually do a pretty good job of creating pressure on the quarterback, so he has to throw under duress a little bit. But the Packer plan made the game simple for them, and then you just need to create the big drive that took off the 7 minutes where it came down to just a play like that instead of the Rams getting another series after that opportunity, was the using his legs and just understanding situational football. And I think the Packers are really growing in that area. I mean, you've got a lot of young players on both these teams, and the Rams will be much better later, but right now the Packers are well ahead of them, just with the guys who know what their responsibility is, play in, play out.
Yeah, exciting to watch this talent bud and see what it might look like down the road, not just in this season, but in seasons to come. Let's remain focused on this season, because I know at the end of the broadcast, you guys are talking about what used to be the black and blue NFC North, now very multiple in the way that those teams might beat you. Just in terms of the teams that you're looking at, and it's going to be beautiful to watch it play out in real time on a field, but who do you give the advantage to when you look at these rosters the way they're constructed?
Well, until someone beats Minnesota, you're going with them. However, Green Bay has a ceiling that's right near anybody else's. I feel like not everyone understands the depth at wide receiver when they're all healthy. They were down 2 guys today. But now you bring Kraft in, who's a really unique tight end and has a skill set, run after catch, but also running routes. He's just a really well-rounded player. You got Josh Jacobs in the backfield with a good offensive line. I mean, that's a formidable unit that can win any game just by themselves. And then this system on defense, I really like the defensive coordinator, ex-head coach at Boston College, Jeff. He's come in and changed the system completely. So that takes time. But I saw them kind of start to get a little bit better. They used leverage and angles better today than they did last week, same as the week before. So this full team, I think, has the ability to possibly be the standard at the end of the year. But right now it's Minnesota.
All right, what are we looking at here? 4:40 out west. Tony Romo, I won't keep you any longer because that's twilight 9 hours. We'll see you out at Riv.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Each and every Sunday, you know where to be. It's with our team on CBS, setting the stage at 12 Eastern time, and then your game of the week's coming at 1 and 4:25 each and every Sunday on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.